and thank you so much for listening to the Conscious Diva podcast. I'm Tatiana, and joining me today is Diana Cooper. Diana has been working with the angelic realms since her guardian angel appeared to her 40 years ago. She has written over 30 books that have been translated into 28 languages, as well as produced many oracle decks. In her new book, The Golden Future, and its accompanying oracle deck of the same name, she describes how an entirely new age, the golden future, is being birthed. In this new book, Diana reveals a glimpse into 2032, offering the reader tools and practices along this transformational path to the fifth dimensional golden future. This is a timely and critical book for all light workers, healers, and anyone seeking to ascend into loving awareness. I highly recommend this book to all who want to be inspired, enlightened, and filled with hope for our golden future that is literally just around the corner. Her mission is to connect people to angels, dragons, unicorns, and Atlantis for personal and planetary ascension. I hope you enjoy listening to this episode, and may it inspire and guide you along our collective transformational journey towards a better future. And if you enjoyed this episode, please follow along and write a review. You can also follow me on Instagram at The Conscious Diva. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much, Diana, for being here today.
Oh, thank you.
It's really lovely to meet you. So I have your wonderful book, The Golden Future, and of course, the Golden Future Oracle deck as well.
Indeed, yeah.
Yeah, which is great. When Hay House first sent me your book, so I got the book first, and the cover just really jumped out at me. It's a really beautiful illustration, isn't it? I mean, gosh, look at that. Who doesn't want to live in the golden future?
I know. Well, we're all going to. It's happening.
And so it was interesting because I wasn't familiar with your work. And so I started reading your book, and right away I was like, who's she getting this info from? Wait, who's telling her all this stuff? And even though I do channeling work and work with my own guides, there was this aspect of myself that was like, this is crazy talk. What the heck? Who's she talking to? And then I went to your website and I totally started researching all your stuff, learning your story and everything. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay. So I would love for you to begin by just telling your story, how for other people who listeners that may not be familiar with your work, I love that story, the meeting of your archangel. And then we'll continue.
Well, my story started 40 years ago, and I was at rock bottom. I was getting divorced. I could not see a future. I had no self-worth, no confidence. How was I going to earn a living? All that stuff going round and round. And I had no religious background, no psychic background, no spiritual understanding. Nevertheless, when you get into a corner and there's no way to look up, no way to look, it's just up. I sat on a chair and I said, well, if there's anything out there, show me. And you've got 1 hour.
I love that.
An angel came in. Wow. And even though I had no understanding, I knew it was an angel. And it literally held its hand out and took me out of my body and took me on a journey for exactly an hour and showed me my future. And I came back knowing something incredible and profound had happened. But what did I do with it? Who could I tell? In those days, in that third dimensional society, I had nobody to talk to about it. So I wrote it down. And then I decided to train to be a hypnotherapist, which, of course, the world was against the idea at that time, 40
And we've
years
got to
ago.
remand people 40 years ago, there was no internet, there was no researching, you couldn't just get online, you really, so I can imagine you probably felt alone and a bit crazy.
Totally, absolutely, totally. But I did. And then, of course, I started to meet like-minded people and things started to shift. I got out of my marriage, sold my house, got a new house, and I started to see clients, and I was aware of angels around them. Because when this happened, I started to become much more psychic automatically. And I was aware of the angels, but I didn't communicate with them. And I started to work with spirit guides. And it was actually 10 years after the first experience that I was lying in the bath saying, "Can you give me some information for some guidance for my classes?" And this voice came, and there were three angels standing in front of me in the bathroom and saying, "We want you to tell people about angels." And I said, "No way. People all think I'm nuts. I am not going to tell people about angels." And they said words that are absolutely indelibly in my mind. And who's doing your work? Is it your ego or your higher self? Whoa. And I immediately said, "Okay, of course I'll do it." And I got out of the bath and put a towel around myself and sat on the bed. And these three angels stood in front of me and gave me all sorts of information for what was then my first angel book.
And you have this wonderful story on your website as well about you wrote that first book. It came out and you were on a TV show in the UK, and it
Yes.
had tremendous response. So if you could you please share that story as well?
Yes, I went to do this breakfast show, and they said, "Would you mind having your aura photograph taken?" So I said, "No, that's fine." And so I was saying to my guardian angel, "Please, will you step into the photo?" Thinking people would sense the energy. And then when my guardian angel stepped in, it impressed itself onto the photograph. So you could see the golden head, you could see a wingtip, you could see light coming down, and actually you could see what now I understand is my guide standing behind, but it just looked like a column of gold. And people everywhere, wrote, phoned, the lines went down. I'd never had such a response at that time. But here was the interesting thing. A lot of the phone calls were from people saying, "I've had an angel experience, but I've never dared to talk about it." And
Mm.
it kind of gave people everywhere permission to talk about it. I mean, this was 30 years ago, and it literally shifted things for a lot of people.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing. So 40 years ago, you had your first experience. Then about 10 years later, you wrote your first book.
Mm,
And now you've written 30 books or plus
yes.
have been translated into languages worldwide. And
Mhm.
it's just incredible. So thank you so much for sharing, bringing through and trusting. And I can imagine that would have been a really difficult time. But also, the flip side of that is when you have the trust, there's this overwhelming feeling and inner knowing that it's true, right? That no,
Oh,
this
there was
is
never any
true,
doubt.
right? And so
Mm,
that's something I just want to make clear to listeners because it can absolutely sound like we're crazy people. We're just talking, we're imagining. But when you live from this place of guidance and truth, inner truth, this wisdom, it's so remarkable the way life just shifts and things just are presented to show, to constantly prove to us. So, can you give a couple of little examples of for early on in your career when you were first being guided, and how did you learn to start trusting before we get into the book?
Well, as you say, it's a feeling. It's just an absolute knowing. So it's not about, there's no doubt whatsoever. So if somebody says something to you, it doesn't matter because you know. I mean, I've been on radio programs and television programs where they laugh at me, and I just think, well, that's their problem. It
Mhm.
really doesn't matter to me because I know. And when you've got that knowing, the outside world can do its own thing, but you're centered in your truth. And the amazing thing is that so many people now have awoken to this. It's like a worldwide shift has taken place, especially over the last year. Completely awesome, the changes.
Yes, it's true. It's true. Absolutely. And so with the golden future, you begin the book by describing the golden future. And
Mm,
what I thought of initially, I've had a long time practice that's rooted in the Hindu traditions. And so the Kali Yuga or the yugas, the cycles of the time periods
mm,
initially came to mind. And while you don't name that as such, or perhaps the angels aren't
mm.
using that language, it very much correlates with those cycles of
All
because
the same thing.
okay, cool. So I was wondering that because I thought, all right, so we're clearly living in the Kali Yuga, which is this period of materialism and, you know, war and destruction and all kinds of stuff and greed, and then the golden future is this golden age that where we are living in as one, as really feeling this unity, this energy, and really respect for one another, respecting all living creatures regardless of their form. And it's something that we're not able to understand yet because of where we're at in this sort of stuck in the three-dimensional space. So can you explain the difference first between what it means to be three-dimensional, and then what does it mean to transcend or to ascend to the fifth dimension?
Sure, third dimensional person is about themselves. So they're only interested in self, hearts not fully open, and so leading a life of selfishness, self. And as soon as you move into an opening of your heart and the caring for the higher good, you're in the fifth dimension. And so, as you know, we have come to the end, you've just touched on it, of a 260,000 year cosmic era. And that's 10 26,000 year eras. And so we're at the end of a vast, vast era now. So anybody that's actually managed to get to Earth right now is extraordinarily privileged. There is a kind of downside to it. As its end times, we have to clear the karma, not just for ourselves, for our families, the genetic karma, the ancestral karma, the country karma, the world karma. And people are taking that on now in all sorts of forms. Many of the cancers are about taking that on and clearing it for humanity. Huge, huge gifts that people are undergoing right now to give to the world. And it's part of their extraordinary opportunity now for soul growth. I mean, there has never been an experience like this. So in 2012, everyone talked about the cosmic moment when source energy touched the heart of every sentient being, but not just on Earth, not just all the planets in this universe, all the universes. It
Mm.
was a major, major thing for everywhere. And at that moment, there was a shift. All the planets had to move up. Well, all the universes as well had to move up one dimension. But of course, Earth was behindhand. And we were third dimensional, and we should be in the fourth dimension then, and now moving into the fifth. But the reason we were so far behind was because we were the only place that would take on the experiment of free will. Everyone else said, that's too dangerous. We're not going to do that. Earth agreed to that, and every person that came to Earth agreed to that. And because of that, there has been this massive focus on Earth to help us and to move us forward. So we are receiving incredible amount of help from the universe. And right now, especially this year, the portals are opening to many of the planets to bring in the light codes to help us shift. And that's been enormous since last October when many of them were established and the start of this year when they're being activated. So right now we're in a maximum period of growth. And at the moment, we are still in the breaking down period. No, if you've ever had a kitchen put into your house and and so you decide, okay, you get your plan, you say, right, this is what we're going to have, all looks fantastic, and then you have to knock down the walls.
Mhm.
Well, we're not just knocking down the walls and going through all the dust and debris, we're expanding to a bigger kitchen. So everything has to go. And right now, all the little rats that have been living in corners are coming out and being revealed in order to be cleared out. We're still living in that, but that's coming to an end. As we know, the banking system, the education system, the hospital system, the health system is just collapsing everywhere. And that's because it's part of the old age. It
Mhm.
is nothing to do with the highest good of everybody. And so we are now just starting to see the footprints put into place for the building of the new. And it's magical to see what's already happening as cooperatives are setting up, share schemes. More people are saying, come on, we don't want these monocultures anymore. It's time for organic and small. The future is about small community. Now, of course, there will be many, many changes. The banks are collapsing and there will be new things coming into place until in the golden future, we won't have money. We won't need money. Everybody is caring for the highest good of everyone else. So we're sharing, we're caring, we're supporting each other. Insurance companies will be gone in 5 years, and we will replace that with community support systems where everybody looks after everyone else. The biggest thing about the new golden age is that it's a consciousness shift. It's not just a shift in housing. Like at the moment, we've got square houses built on the masculine principle where energy can get stuck in corners. We will have round flowing houses where energy can move faster and you can have a faster, higher frequency in your home. But it's not just about those. It's about the shift in consciousness. Now, right now, if you go to your local park and you see a group of people playing a game or a group of people doing an artistic project together, you might think, oh, I'd love to join in. Oh, but they wouldn't want me. Oh, I'm not good enough. All of that. That's the old consciousness. In the new consciousness, not only do you know you are welcome, but they actively welcome you because they can read what you need, what you want. So everybody is psychically attuned to each other and are responding to each other. It's a huge difference. As I said before we came on air, right now the 12 chakras are in for most people. This means your Earth Star chakra is in. That's the one below your feet. A fifth dimensional Earth Star chakra starts to take you to where you're meant to live, where you resonate with the land in that location. So people are suddenly moving.
Yeah.
For the last few years, we've seen a lot of people moving and saying,
Mm.
I feel really at home now for the first time ever
And moving out
because
of
it's
cities,
the right
actually.
place. Yes, the cities are not in tune because the future is about nature.
Yes. Yeah.
I think anybody who is only interested in the size of their house, the size of their car, their bank balance is going to find the shift difficult.
It's been interesting to observe the shift of people being called out away from the city to live in the countryside now. And I'm really,
Mhm.
I think it's remarkable. Before we go further, I wanted to just mention the dates in your book because they're very soon. I mean, you just said the insurance companies are going to start collapsing in 5 years, but your named year is 2032. And so that's really, really soon. When I was reading the book, I kept thinking, I could understand from a consciousness perspective, the up leveling, but then I was wondering, how's that going to affect the people that are remaining stuck or who don't want to shift and change? What's going to happen to them? Because there's millions of people who live on the planet, and I would imagine like a degree of are experiencing the ascension shifts right now, but there's also a lot who aren't, right? And then you also talk about in your book new babies coming through and how it's no longer a karmic decision to come through, but a soul match.
Well, we're moving into the new golden age in 2032. Now, the old age, the end of the 260,000 year cycle was 2012. And we have a 20-year period, and this is a set in stone period throughout the universes, and that's till 2032. And at that time, so we have got another 8 years to
Yeah.
help as many people to ascend into the fifth dimension as possible. So if people are not in either at the very upper levels of the fourth dimension with their hearts open, or in the fifth dimension, they will no longer vibrationally match Earth and they will no longer want to be on Earth. So they will move to another plane where they can continue their experience. It's really as simple as that.
How will they leave, essentially?
Well, there will be a mass reduction of population. Our task is to make it as easy as possible for as many people as possible to rise in frequency. Our
Mm.
aim is to get everybody to move into the fifth dimension. But the future is about people who need more space, more land, more nature. And so everyone will need more land, so that our planet will no longer want to support that number of people. I mean, this has been an opportunity, and that opportunity will pass after 2032. It has been an extraordinary time, but this is why so many light workers are working so hard to get as many people as possible to rise in frequency. I mean, for example, on Sunday, I was just going to do this in my garden. We built portals to various of the high frequency planets, and those portals, the symbols are on them. I collected all the pebbles myself and painted them the exact vibration of those portals. And this was just going to be a little event in the garden. It's now got people all over the world saying, we want to build portals, we want to activate portals. And so everywhere that's happening. Now, last October, we did an event to help people merge with their monads. And at that time, 70,000 people worldwide actually made that merge.
Wow.
What they're telling us now is that with the opening of and activation of these portals, bringing in of the higher energies, the forecast is, now it's a forecast not set in stone, that there will be another 10,000 people that will actually make their monadic merge and move to a higher level. Now, for everybody that does that, they affect their families, their towns. It makes a huge difference. So there's no reason why anybody of good intent shouldn't raise their frequency and be ready for the shift in 2032. And I'm not saying that there's going to be one day we're here and another day there's going to be golden sunlight every day of your life. It won't be like that. It'll be much more gradual, but that shifting point will have taken place. And as we achieve international cooperation and world peace, then a portal in China, in the north of China, opens, and that radiates pure white love over the planet, touching the hearts of every single person, bringing in a flood of love in a way that we've never experienced before. So there are all sorts of things happening that are beyond our comprehension and understanding. And at that time, then the amethyst crystal skull, the amethyst crystal skull that contains all the wisdom of all the Atlantean skulls, will start to broadcast its light, and people will find they are able to access that, and that shifts the consciousness.
Yeah.
The other thing that's happening, and I don't know if you're working on it, but I've got a workshop on it very soon, and that's about the regeneration and rejuvenation codes that are coming into the planet. So you can go to Helios, the great central sun, and start to activate codes of regeneration. You can go to Andromeda, which is the higher heart of the universe, and start to activate codes of rejuvenation. And the two together means that we're going to start building our crystalline light bodies. Now, currently, we have a right brain and a left brain. And when they're in balance, then your life's in balance. But many, many people, and these are all the third dimensional people, are very left brain. They are just in their thinking brain. Now, that's the side that's judgmental, that's critical, that creates from a very negative down standpoint. When you're right brain, that's your imagination flowing. That's about oneness. It opens the heart. And so in balance, then we can move forward with an open heart. And so we are not going to have a separate right and left brain. We're going to have a crystalline brain, and the children, new children already are coming in with their 12 strands of DNA in place, but not activated yet because the frequency is too low. So it's up to parents everywhere to make the frequency in their home higher, more peaceful, so that the children can bring forward their 12 strands of DNA fully activated and claim all their gifts and talents, which are immense. So we will have a crystalline brain that's like a computer. That then connects you directly to source. It connects you to everybody else. You know everything that you need to know at any time about other people, about the information that you're currently looking up on your phone, Googling to find out. It's available to you. You don't have to spend hours in school having left brain stuff into your mind. And the crystalline body is much healthier. So we're starting at an atomic level to clear out the old stuff from the body and allow the new to come in. This
Mm.
means that we'll be totally healthy. I mean, many people have their fifth dimensional health blueprint in place. But about 2 weeks ago, my guide said, okay, you can start now to activate your seventh dimensional crystalline light body and bring that in, your
Wow.
seventh dimensional health blueprint. And
Wow.
this is for everybody. As a few people do it, so more people are available, can do it themselves. And so you'll have a crystalline light body that literally the codes of light shine out. You can run, you can jump, you can live to
Mm.
as long as you like because you're on a different level.
Some people might be wondering how. Some people might be thinking, what, really? Well, hang on a second, what? So that's the purpose, I believe, of your Oracle deck. I went through the deck, I did as you recommended, I pulled the cards, and I've been really working with a set of 3. But not only that, you have a whole bunch of really wonderful meditations and activations on the Hay House Empower You app as well that people can listen to and attune themselves through those beautiful guided meditations and really transport themselves. And you have these really lovely, I mean, you've even got a beautiful, I think it's like a 51-minute practice that goes along with the Golden Future. I listened to that as well. What free things do you have available to people that they can go and experience all of these at a beginner level, and then really learn to, especially calling in the codes and things, because once you start to visualize that and really bring it in and allow everything to open, it's the most amazing experience. You know that. You already know.
No, as you say, I already know that. And there is masses and masses of free stuff on my YouTube channel. And there's also paid for stuff that you can do at a more deep and intense level. The monadic merge meditation I was given last October. Is it only last October?
Well, quickly
Because
first tell people what monad is, because I don't think if people are really
okay.
familiar with the chakras in the body, they're not going to know what are the higher ascending chakras. So please expand.
Okay.
Yeah, just talk about that.
So everybody knows their soul. It's your higher self. Yeah. And so that's where you take the decisions at a higher level for your life, and it stores all your life things. And then beyond that, you have your monad. And that is the aspect of you that's connected to source, to the highest possible aspect of you. And so this is moving up to a higher level and making that higher connection. And of course, some people are doing that without even realizing it. But that's what the monad is. Some people call it your I am presence.
Mm.
We're connecting to that. So last October, I was given this meditation. Well, I was given it before, so I had to do it for several months, and I contracted to do it every single day.
Wow.
When you bring in the energies of 12 archangels, you then go to the stars, the planets, and you bring in energy from the planets and some of the masters, and then you share it with Earth to help Earth ascend, and then you go to your monad, and it ends with going to the Intergalactic Council to make petitions for Earth. So it's a lot of service work, but it's all encapsulated in this one extraordinary meditation. And so I started doing it, and I can honestly say that my life has totally, totally changed. Every cell of my body feels as if it's different.
Wow.
And yet I do it each day, but since October, it's been upgraded 6 times.
Wow.
And for example, things that we petitioned to the Intergalactic Council for to help the planet, they're now done deeds. And so we no longer need to petition for those, and we're given new things to petition for. And so there's been a new one out this month, and it's on my website, on my YouTube channel. And they are amazing. I would say that it's the greatest thing I've ever experienced. And even though I've done it every day, I still buzz as the energies come through
Isn't that
from
amazing?
the planets.
Yeah, wow. And so tell me, what kind of jobs are they requesting you to do to activate on this planet?
Oh, there's been all sorts. The most important one and is still in place is asking for pure air, pure soil, and pure water for Earth again. But we've been doing that again and again. And so last month, but not this month, the last time we had an upper grade, they said that there were certain elementals in other universes. And I wrote about these 10 years ago, but hadn't done any work with them since, that can come to Earth and they can consume the pollution in the waters and in the air.
You mentioned
And
one
so
in the section, the S cats or S actually
ESACs,
Isaac.
ESACs,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
little
I hadn't
teeny
heard of
weeny
that.
elementals, yes.
Yeah.
And they're teeny weeny elementals. They come from a different universe, but they consume both the negative energy and the actual physical stuff in the air. And then there's Kai hills, and they can come into the oceans and they can consume the oil and the
Oh,
plastics. But what we're now doing is, and there are two more that can work with the chemtrails. And what we're now doing is asking for more of them to be sent to Earth. And of course, this is something we have to do I have to get permission through the Intergalactic Council. Master Marco has to go to the other councils of Earth to make sure that they all agree. And it also, because it changes the planet, it changes the universe. But we asked for the pure white flame of Atlantis to come down. Now, that is the most powerful form of purification. And just one day it flashed into my head, and I went to the Intergalactic Council and asked if it could come down over the entire planet
wow.
instead of just over individuals. It was quite interesting because they said, oh, can you come back tomorrow? Because we have to have permission to do this. And Master Marco had to go to all the councils of Earth because it's all changed the universe.
Mm,
It's not just about Earth. And so we had to get all that permission in before we could make the petitions. And then it came in.
wow.
And then we had to close the gates to the astral realms. We had to do a whole lot around it. But that has now done. And we don't long have to do that anymore. It's established round Earth.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. And I can understand that as you're describing it to me. I think a lot of people haven't heard of the Galactic Council before, or are familiar with some of the masters that you've mentioned. Well, you haven't in your book, Lord Vuslu, for example, and perhaps some others. So I'm going to have you explain who they are in a moment.
Mhm.
But I'd love for you to just paint the picture of the experience you're having when you're communicating and when the beings are making themselves present known to you. And then also when you wrote this book, I mean, gosh, it's really, and same with the cards, it's like I don't, it's not, it's beyond being channeled. It's like you're there and you witnessed it with your own eyes, and you're literally
Mm,
describing everything as it is because you've seen
mm,
it. That is how I
mm.
felt when I read this book.
Well, it is. That's the thing. It's there. It's waiting to happen. And I can feel it and know it. And when I'm doing my meditation every morning, um, I don't know, I'm just sitting there and I say, I now access with love the energy from Pluto, and I go to Pluto, and I'm in this energy and in the color vibration and receiving that energy. And then I ask for it to come through me, and I literally feel like a stream of light coming through me into, well, we used to be asked to bring it into a cellular level. And last month, Kumiko said, well, we can now ask for it to come into an atomic level.
Wow.
Wow. Kumiko is my guide, my monad. He is a mighty being from another universe. And just the energy just comes through me. And I can literally feel it changing me. And I think that this is the power of what's happening now. Everybody has this opportunity. But
Mm,
I did ask last month, and this is not the Intergalactic Council. We have to go to the council in charge of Earth, the Council for Earth. I asked what we could do about all the dark people that were still on the planet that were holding everything back. And I was told to go to the Intergalactic Council, to the council, and ask them to work with Archangel Michael to place a deep blue pyramid over every single dark person or person with low intent. And what that does
We're
is,
talking about dark energy. Dark,
yeah,
when you say dark person, dark energy.
when I talk about a dark person, I mean somebody who is actively harming others.
Thank you.
That was the definition I was given.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
there are quite a few of those people around.
Mm.
And I was told that this blue pyramid, which is Archangel Michael's energy, is placed over each person. And the council is working with Michael to place one of those pyramids over everybody who is of that persuasion. And that enables them to see source truth.
Wow.
Once they see that source truth, then they have choices to make different decisions about their life. I mean, they may decide not to, but they can do that. And it also protects their families and those around them from that energy. So this is a new thing that we've just brought in the last month.
Yeah, that's
But
amazing.
I think I can already feel it in certain people, making a difference that I send the energy to. I have to confess, I also put it over a couple of government buildings.
Yeah, that's great. That's wonderful.
Every single thing makes a difference.
So, who or what is the Galactic Council? And then, who are these master beings?
Well, there are many, 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 and people work with the ones that they're drawn to. Oh, the Intergalactic Council, well, that is the council in charge of the universe. So they take decisions for the universe. And so that there are 12 mighty beings on the Intergalactic Council. And they're all people that you've probably heard of, except possibly people like Master Marco, because he's in charge of the Intergalactic Confederation.
I hadn't heard of
Commander
it. Yes, Commander Askar or Ashkar.
Ashtar, he's in
Mhm.
charge of the Intergalactic Fleet. But then there's people like Saint Germain, Paul the Venetian, Lord Kasumi, in charge of the education. He's now the world teacher. Kuan Yin,
Mhm.
Serapis Bey, Mary Magdalene. You want a list?
Well, I was actually thinking of from your book, actually, the one because
Okay, I call them in every morning,
oh,
so I can
yeah,
just
no,
recite the list.
the golden future, the ones you've mentioned in the golden future, because they're really critical to shaping. It feels like they helped you with this book and guided you, and then you have a whole section where you already mentioned China, but other parts of the world. And I was surprised that London is also a portal. I don't know why I was surprised. I guess I just think because it's a city.
Earth Star Chakra. This
Mm.
is why it's interesting. You know, the last Olympic Games had to take place in London. It was one of those things written in stone because the energy was needed there to open that chakra for the world
Wow,
after 2012. You know, everybody else was saying, "Oh, it's going to be here, it's going to be there," but it was always going to be in London.
that's amazing.
We
And
put
then
so
you've
much
also,
energy into these things. We
it's
need.
wild. I mean, I'm going to be in London in June, and I thought, wow, I'm going to like take my shoes off, stand, touch my hands on the ground, and be like, I'm going to make a special effort to go to Avebury because you do mention that in your book too. And since I'm relatively close, I thought I'm going to go there.
Avebury, Stonehenge, and Glastonbury are all individual portals within one vast portal. So that it is absolutely enormous. And Avebury used to be the welcome portal in this universe for UFOs from all over the
Read
universe.
that in your book. That's wild.
And but now it has stopped being that because the powers that be put a road through it and it cut the energy. But it's starting to expand again and wake up again, and it will soon be a universal portal for UFOs again. Some energy there.
And of course, these again can sound like crazy topics, UFOs and stuff like that. But I think the UK has been a place where crop circles have been seen for centuries. And
Mhm.
I wondered, is that a correlation? Do have any of your angels or guides spoken to you about that at all? Because you reside in the UK.
I remember many years ago driving past Stonehenge, and as I drove past, I saw a brand new crop circle had come there. I was with my daughter. We stopped the car, we jumped out, and we went into it. One of
Wow.
the first people in it. The energy was amazing. But then the newspapers did double-page spreads of Stonehenge here and the crop circle here. And what it was it was inviting people to go out into the universe through the portal of Stonehenge and travel and experience. So that one was an invitation.
That's
They're all something different. They're
amazing.
all amazing. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, so let's talk about your Golden Future deck a bit more. So you put out the book first, and then you have this wonderful deck that goes with the book. I pulled some cards this morning for us,
Mhm.
and I pulled. I've got to just put my reading glasses back on. Interestingly, I pulled number one, the population.
Population, seize your opportunities.
Yes. And
Oh,
then this
the
one, number
last one.
44, the group consciousness. And I
Oh,
thought they go really well together, considering
wow,
that's what you're sharing, right? Talking about
that's
this.
powerful, isn't it?
It is. Can you please just explain share what these mean?
Yeah, okay. Population. That the picture is actually showing Lady Gaia herself issuing you with an invitation to come to Earth. She's holding that golden ticket. There are people waiting to come, and you've been offered this chance, this awesome chance for your soul to expand. And in doing so, you are told to just seize any opportunities that come your way. This is a
Mm,
chance for you. This lifetime is so important for you. And then, of course, the group consciousness is where we're moving to.
mm,
That's where everybody is in that circle of light, all working together. You know, in the golden future, how they're going to take decisions is they're all fifth dimensional, they stand in a circle, they hold hands or connect heart to heart, they name the possibilities, and then they all focus on what is for the highest good. And
mm.
then they make a decision quickly and easily, and everyone accepts it because it's for the highest good. And that's what the group consciousness is. They're only seeing the love and the light and the oneness in people.
I love that. And I just thought, wow, how perfect to chat to you and have those come up because
I mean, the
it's,
message for you is that you're leading people to understand that they have come in for this opportunity, and that's where we're aiming for. And
mm,
what a position you're in to do this for people.
no, thank you. Thank you. And I pulled a third card, which was also really interesting because today it's my son's 20th birthday and
Oh,
he
wow.
actually goes to
Happy
music
birthday.
school. And I pulled
Oh,
out the
well, there
fifth
you go.
card.
There you go.
Can you believe
And that's harmony. Yeah. Well, how wonderful for your son.
that? I
It's
know.
obviously an important part of your journey.
I thought that was really beautiful. I was like, wow, like that's amazing. You know, when he was really little, I had this experience where I actually saw him surrounded by his guides. I'm not sure if they were angels, but this really beautiful white glowing energy and like notes. They looked like musical notes coming down
Right.
and he plays the piano and he plays the viola and he goes to music school and he doesn't think that he's like, oh no 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 no, these are the like he's on his own journey of figuring his own stuff out, but he hasn't he because it's so natural and easy for him. He's like, well, how can this be what I'm supposed to do because it's not hard.
Okay, would you like me to tell you about your
Yeah.
son?
Oh, all
Okay.
right, yes,
So
tell me.
he's done this many times. He's been on this journey through past lives where he's been a musician. And that's why it's so easy for him. He's gifted and it's natural. It's a gift he's come in with. And his aim, his sole aim, is to connect into the music of the spheres and to bring that forward for humanity.
Wow. Oh, wow. Well, thank you. I'm gonna tell him that. That's
You
amazing. I
might
mean,
not want to hear it. You might not want to hear it, but
well, he
sometimes
just turned 20, so he's in a space where, you know, he's open to stuff, but he's also like, oh, that's your
yeah,
crazy stuff you're into.
he's young. Yeah. He actually comes from Arcturus, so he's bringing a lot of wisdom energy with him.
Oh, thank you for
That's it.
sharing that. That's really
Okay,
beautiful.
it'll freak him out tonight when you tell him.
Oh, thank you. I love that. He's in Spain right now, so he's in your time zone.
Oh,
Yeah,
lucky
yeah.
thing.
And then I pulled three cards that I've been working with for myself, which have been wonderful. And mine was the psychic gifts that I pulled. These I've been actually sitting with and meditating on individually, but also
Mhm,
three. And then I've been
mhm.
placing a macabre on top of the
Oh, lovely. Yeah.
yeah, the third eye, and then holding them when I'm meditating with it. And then I also pulled out the education card and then placing also this crystal on top. And I just thought that was really beautiful. And I loved and that's
Mm.
Master Kutsumi. And then this one, oh, 34, jump shift your life, which I was like, oh,
Yes.
amazing. And then I have
Mhm.
another Merkaba that I've been placing on the top of that one too.
Oh,
So
that's Lord for you.
they've been beautiful. They've been so beautiful to work with. And the artwork. I mean, my gosh, talk about the
Yeah.
artwork. You have this absolutely stunning golden, this looks like a golden diamond heart on the back side of the
Yeah.
cards.
Yeah. I know this. The artwork was done by Daniel from Space Before Thought, and I've never really been much interested in the artwork, and I let the publishers choose it. And then this time, I knew it was important, and I kept turning down people that they'd suggested, and then they said, "Well, look, we've got this one. It's a bit. Don't know if you'll like it. It's rather different." Yes, yes, yes. That is exactly what I wanted for these.
Wow.
And he was brilliant. He was amazing.
Oh yeah, you can see he's captured. He's really tuned into what you're describing,
Absolutely.
right? I
He was
mean, like,
fantastic.
hello, group consciousness. I mean, gosh, doesn't that just say
Mhm. He's
it?
got the light. Yeah. Everything. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really stunning. When the archangels talk to you about Atlantis and Lemuria, what's coming through now?
In Atlantis, they created for 1500 years, the golden era, of a fifth dimensional society on a third dimensional planet. We
Mm.
are now creating a fifth dimensional society on a fifth dimensional planet. So we will go way beyond the incredible gifts and way of living that they had in Atlantis. We are bringing it forward now as a foundation for where we're going. It's a springboard. What you ask about Lemuria is very interesting because Lemurian energy is coming forward all the time. And of course, it's much more right brain energy. But we keep telling people off for the way we are creating climate change. Climate change is coming. We haven't helped, but climate change is coming from the cosmos. It is time for a shift on the planet. And traditionally, over centuries, there's an ice age to cleanse and purify the land underneath it. And
Mm.
then when that ice age finishes, as it's now doing, the ice is melting. This means that there is pure land for the people to live on, so that is going to enable them to have a much higher frequency. And at the same time, it's going to flood lots of places like the huge industrial cities built on the shores, which are most of the big cities of the world, big industrial cities of the world. They will all be flooded. They are part of the old age. They're nothing to do with where we're going. But new lands are coming up. And those new lands, very many of them are holding the energy of Lemuria. So they'll be bringing back the oneness consciousness that they had in Lemuria. You know, if you see a whole flock of birds moving together, that's the oneness consciousness. They're all tuned into that. And that's the Lemurian energy.
Thank you for explaining that. And also the animals you talk about in your book, and which insects have higher already fixed dimensional, ants and the bees. And ants I thought was interesting because it's this time of year in in Vermont. They just start coming in the house from outside from the long cold winter, and they're all over the place. And I'm always saying to my husband, "Don't kill the ants! Don't kill the ants!" There'll be moments where they're just swarming, and then when I read in your book that they're fifth dimensional creatures, I was like, "Oh my gosh! Like you really can't be killing the ants. Like you've got to like relocate them, move them back outside, and
You
wipe
can
everything
talk
down
to
with
them.
peppermint oil."
I used to find it very effective. It isn't a problem here, but where I used to live, I would just say, look, please move. You can move to there. You'll be perfectly safe. And I'd give them another place and they would go. You would see them turning around and going.
Do you have some other tips for people that both, if you are just new to this work or angels or any of this, what can you do? How can a person start to ascend?
Well, I suppose the very first thing to do is just to remember that your angel is with you and loving you, whether you believe it or not. So your angel is constantly there loving you. And the archangels, especially, are there helping you to grow. So if you ask every day for more courage, ask Archangel Michael for more courage, you will drip, receive that. And so after a time, you'll find you have more confidence or courage or abundance consciousness or whatever it is. And they will be working with you all the time. As soon as they see your light go on, that you're interested, wow, things start to change in your life.
I love that. Thank you. And then what about for people who are maybe they don't work with angels, they work with other energies and are interested? What would you say there? Is there you say you're already tapped in, just ask to meet, introduce yourself to me. What sort of tips or guidance have you got there?
If you think about a dragon is with you. If you think about a unicorn is with you. Whatever you want to draw into your life, think about it and it'll come to you. Most people are so busy thinking about what they don't want that they attract what they don't want. But if you absolutely decide, I want this, and you focus on it for the highest good, that will start coming into your life.
Thank you. And is there anything else you'd like to share about the book or your deck or anything else that you've got going on?
Well, at this very moment, what I've got on is the activation of these portals. It's a 15-minute activation for 7 portals to bring the energy in. I'm also working a lot now to bring in the codes of regeneration and the codes of rejuvenation. And there's something on my website about that so that people can find it out for themselves. But I think it's just so exciting. Every day I wake up and think, wow, what amazing thing is going to happen today. And
Oh, I love that.
I love little jingles, and I have several that I use, but one of my favorite one at the moment is, I walk the golden way and magic and miracles happen each day.
Ah,
And they do.
I love that. That's awesome. It's so great.
I love it.
It's amazing. Oh, well, I love it. This has been really so fun. I hope you enjoyed it. It was really great
I
to
loved it. Thank
chat
you.
and
Talked about all my favorite subjects.
find out more because it was so cool. I mean, really, like I've truly been enjoying doing these practices and listening. And I've got my 14-year-old daughter also. I'll sit her down and I had her listen to all the unicorn meditations and she loved them. I didn't tell her anything about them. I said, here, you're going to really just do this.
Mhm,
She does a middle meditation when she comes home from school every day to the goddess Saraswati. And that takes her about 20 minutes. And then
mhm.
she'll press play one of the unicorn meditations. She's like, oh, wow. She'll, come back and
Mhm.
say, it
Well,
was so
unicorns
cool.
are so special.
Yeah, so special. And just, I think it doesn't matter how old you are, what you're into. They're just really lovely to listen to and feel and
One of the portals we're opening on Sunday is to Lyra, which is the unicorn kingdom. It's a
oh,
7 point.
wow.
Lots of people are making their own portals, drawing them on the
Yeah,
paving flags in the garden, drawing pictures of them to bring in the energies. You can imagine all over the world, people activating portals that they've made to bring the energy into their own home. So if your daughter loves unicorns, ask her to make a portal for the unicorns from Lyra.
I love
Bring
it.
it in.
Yeah.
Bring all that pure white unicorn light right into Earth to literally change the vibration of Earth.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm definitely going to do that. Yeah, I love it. And I'm going to check out your monad practices as well, those meditations too.
Oh, yes, yes, you love those.
I think I will. I know I will. And we can find you at dianacooper.com and all of your information on your website as well. So lovely to have you here today.
Thank you very much.